warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Heshain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Former Minister Patli Champika Ranawaka is re-remanded until next Tuesday. MCC Agreement won't be signed until a committee studies and make necessary recommendations to it. News in detail. Minister Patli Champika Ranawaka, who was arrested by the Colombo Crimes Division in connection with a road accident which took place in 2016, was re-remanded until the 24th of this month by the Colombo Additional Magistrate today. Former Minister Patli Champika Ranawaka was arrested by the CCD last night as per the advice of the Attorney General to the senior DIG Colombo to arrest and produce him before the court over a road accident in 2016 which left the victim severely injured. The magistrate court initially ordered to remand him till today. When he was produced before the courts this morning, the court ordered to remand him till next Tuesday. Meanwhile, Speaker Karijai Surya in a Twitter message said that the arrest of former minister has violated the due procedures upheld so far by the current parliament regarding arrest of parliamentarians. He also added that such episodes, arrests by law enforcement officers, will propagate anxiety and distress. Meanwhile, JHU's deputy leader and parliamentarian Karunaratna Paranavithana, former ministers Ranjit Madhuma Bandara, Thalathathu Korla and MP Hirunika Premachandra and a number of civil society activists also held a media briefing in Colombo this evening and claimed the government is hunting its political rivals going beyond the rule of the law. They also charged that the government is in a process of revenging from some politicians whom can be a political threat during the upcoming general election. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa directed Consumer Affairs Authority to take immediate steps to enforce the declared maximum retail prices and ensure uninterrupted market supply of essential goods during this festive season, which times consumers are vulnerable to market manipulation. Consumer Affairs Authority recently gazetted that the maximum retail price on rice should be sold at 98 rupees per 1 kilogram. Major millers agreed that they will mark this price at their price packets and ensure their retail distribution network will sell such rice at this price. However, there are complaints that this is not compiled within several places. Therefore, the CAA was instructed to check the market supply situation to deploy a team to check the stock and daily releases at rice milling supply stations. President Rajapaksa also ordered that the CAA should also initiate immediate actions to check the rice suppliers at PETA and other major markets. Meanwhile, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa went on an inspection tour in the Special Economic Centre in Narayanpeta last evening. President also contacted the officials of the Ministry of Finance from the site and instructed them to be vigilant if the benefits of tax reductions are being received by the consumers and the businessmen. He also asked the relevant officials to take immediate steps to enforce the declared maximum retail prices and ensure uninterrupted market supply of essential goods during this festive season. The Cabinet Ministers has given the nod to allocate 2 million rupees for each Gram Niladhari division to carry out essential development activities under a newly introduced rural development program dubbed as Sapiri Ratak. The key cabinet decisions that were taken yesterday were announced to the media today morning by co-cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena and Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana. Addressing the press briefing, co-cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena said that 2 million rupees would be allocated for a rural development program dubbed as Sapiri Ratak. For the first time, 2 million rupees would be allocated for all 14,021 Gram Niladhari divisions to upgrade the development facilities. He said instructions have already been made to begin these development activities by next January. Meanwhile, the government has decided to implement a program to provide 100,000 jobs to eligible persons from low-income groups from January 15th. This is based on President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's election manifesto, Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor, initiative proposed by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to provide people of this low-income category with jobs in the state sector for which trained skills or formal education was not compulsory. Meanwhile, government has approved the decision to stop importing spices such as saffron, pepper, cinnamon, etc. and goods that can be locally manufactured such as Vesak lanterns and joss sticks. This initiative is taken to uplift the local manufacturer and the planter. On the other hand, co-cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana noted that the cabinet has also approved the relocating of the Agriculture Ministry to its previous location at the Govijana Mandire in Battaramulla. It was decided that the Cabinet of either terminate or to take any other alternative action regarding the agreement on the building which was taken on the exorbitant monthly rental. Moreover, it was announced today that the Cabinet has decided to suspend the process of MCC Agreement or tabling it in Parliament until a 4-member committee studies it and make necessary recommendations. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena highlighted that Cabinet of Ministers approved to appoint a 4-member committee to study the controversial Millennium Challenge Cooperation Agreement. The proposal was tabled by the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Cabinet meeting that took place yesterday. Thus, the 4-member committee, including Professor Lalita Sirigunaruwan, former Transport Minister Secretary Dr. D.S. Jayavira, President's Counsel Nihal Jayawardena and civil activist Nalaka Jayavira, is to conduct a comprehensive study on the agreement and make necessary recommendations to the government. Accordingly, the decision by the previous government to sign the agreement has been suspended until the committee reaches its conclusions. Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Foreign Minister of Switzerland Ignacio Cassis contacted his Sri Lankan counterpart Minister Dinesh Gunawardena yesterday and assured all possible cooperation to be extended to expedite the investigation process. Meanwhile, Cabinet spokesman Minister Dr. Ramesh Patrana stresses that the government will not interfere in the case and allow the law enforcement institutes to act independently. Foreign Minister Dinesh Gunawardena was contacted by Foreign Minister of Switzerland Ignacio Cassis regarding the status of the Sri Lankan employee at the Swiss Embassy, Ms. Gania Bannister Francis, last evening. Noting that the employee is a Sri Lankan citizen and that the matter was presently in court, Minister Gunawardena had said the government of Sri Lanka will do whatever it can according to the law of the land. Referring to the Swiss Foreign Minister's statement of last Tuesday, Foreign Minister Gunawardena emphasized that Sri Lanka has fully complied with national law and international judicial standards and that any assertion to the contrary was factually inaccurate. The Swiss Embassy employee who claimed that she was abducted was presently in custody on reasonable suspicion of committing offences under the sections 120 and 190 of the Penal Code that could justify a criminal charge of disaffection towards the government and fabricating false evidence for the purpose of being used in any stage of a judicial proceeding in her alleged abduction claim.
Now this controversy involving this embassy employee has gone out of proportion now. But it seems the support to cooperation expected from the Swiss Embassy doesn't come to.
No, it hasn't gone out of proportion actually. His Excellency the President has very clearly indicated the government position to the ambassador, and they are also cooperating, and we have repeatedly stated the fact that government is not interfering with the law enforcement of the country, and the law enforcement authorities, including the Attorney General's Department and the Police Department, will carry out necessary investigation, and they are carrying it out in a transparent and fair manner. So we are not involved in that. That is as per we are a sovereign nation. As per the Sri Lankan law and as per the international standards, that investigation would be concluded soon.
The latest data by the central bank report shows that the contraction of merchandise imports continued for the 12th consecutive month with a 3.5% decline in October 2019 to $1,816 million driven by lower consumer and investment goods imports. Although food and beverages imports increased in October 2019, expenditure on consumer goods imports declined as a result of the decline in non-food consumer goods imports driven by lower personal vehicle imports. However, motor vehicle imports remained at a relatively high level on average since July 2019 compared to values recorded during the first half of 2019, mainly reflecting the impact of the resumption of personal motor vehicle imports under concessionary permits. Meanwhile, expenditure on food and beverages import increased, mainly driven by high imports of onions to supplement lower domestic supply. Expenditure on imports intermediate goods increased in October 2019, mainly due to expenditure on fuel, owing to higher volumes of imports of crude oil and coal, despite lower international prices. In addition, expenditure on base metals imports increased in October 2019, driven by iron and steel imports. Meanwhile, pertaining to tourist arrivals, the report shows that a steady recovery in monthly tourist arrivals after the Easter Sunday attacks was observed in recent months, and that tourist arrivals amounted to 118,743 in October 2019, with a decline of arrivals of 22.5% in October 2019 compared to the drop of 27.2% in September, 28.3% in August 2019. The decline in the number of tourists from key destinations such as the United Kingdom and China mainly contributed to the drop in tourist arrivals on a year-on-year basis. Senior research professional of Center for Poverty Analysis Kulasambandhan Romeshan says that the children from poor households do not show positive outcomes when it comes to education, even though they are bestowed with the free education system. He made these observations addressing a recent panel discussion held in Colombo.
What we're seeing on the ground is that the children from the poorer households have poorer outcomes when it comes to education, though it's freely available. The Household Income and Expenditure Survey of 2012-13 indicates that 2/3 of the children who are from households which are classified as poor are likely to drop out of school. In comparison to households which are not considered poor, it's only 1/3 of them who drop out. The similar thing is seen, maybe it's not yet part of the formal system, but in early childhood education. Quite a few reports world over say that it's one of the most important aspects of future employment prospects. And it's also quite interesting that both candidates, or the two main candidates, picked on that issue to say that it's a system that they would work on and develop on and make it formal. The informal system that prevails now, they would make it formal.
Appointments for the post of chairpersons of few state-owned enterprises were appointed yesterday and today. Thus, Information and Communication Technology Agency, the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka and Sri Lanka Export Development Board were replaced with new chairmen. Former Chief Executive Officer and President of IFS Sri Lanka, Jayantha De Silva, is appointed as the new chairman of the Information and Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka. ICTA is the apex ICT institution of the government which take all necessary measures to implement the government's policy and action plan related to ICT. Jayantha De Silva replaces former ICTA chairman Professor Rohan Samarajiva, who was appointed to the position in April 2018. Meanwhile, former chairman of John Keells Holdings, Susantha Ratnayaka, was appointed as the new chairman of the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka yesterday. Ratnayaka has over 30 years of management experience and had served as chairman and CEO of John Keells Holdings from January 2006 to December 2018. Moreover, business tycoon Prabhash Subasinghe was appointed as the new chairman of the Sri Lanka Export Development Board. Subasinghe is chairman of Global Rubber Industries Limited, managing director at Global Seafoods Limited, and chairman at Sri Lanka Association of Manufacturers and Exporters of Rubber Products. He is also on the board of Sanasi Development Bank and the Sri Lanka Society of Rubber Industry. Stay tuned for stock updates. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all-share price index dropped 13.82 points to close at 6,045.27, and the S&P SL20 dropped 6.76 points to close at 2,946.34. The turnover was 556 million rupees and over 8 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all news for today. Do join us tomorrow with State of Business. Until then, take care. Good night.